Should I be debt free in retirement? What a good question. And really, it's a question, Aaron, that you and I get to evaluate with families and individuals all the time. So, welcome back to Elements in Focus for those that are have been watching for a little while. And if you're brand new, um, Aaron and I try to give golden nuggets of information along the way when doing these. But I highly recommend you watch the What is Elements in Focus to get a deeper dive on what we're doing here today. But Aaron, discussion and dialogue around a phenomenal question. Should I
hmm
be debt free in retirement? And if we're listening to the classic Dave Ramsey, I think he's a large enough name now that people kind of just know it him as the debt guy. But Dave Ramsey says no debt, never debt, etc. And there are other people who that say, hey, debt's the only way wealth is made. So when we're particularly looking at this question for the normal middle class individual entering retirement, where do we lead them? What questions do we ask to evaluate this?
Yeah. One other thing, there's an old proverb in the Bible that says the borrower is slave to the lender. So it's really personal preference, right?
Mhm.
And it does come down to a math equation. And uh, it is, Grant and I talk about this all the time. Every situation that we run across is unique. The family situation is unique. You're different from your peers. You might be, the same in your wants and wishes and all that type of stuff, your hobbies. But when it comes down to your financial situation, you're unique. And so we have helped people process through this question all the time. Uh, should you be debt free in retirement? Yeah, if you have the ability to be debt free in retirement, it's a great thing. However, sometimes it makes sense to carry debt into retirement because it's about cash flow. And so I'm not saying that's your situation. It could be. Let me give you an example of how we help people through just these types of situations. So everyone remember the market of 2022. I mean, we're going back about 2 years ago. It was not a wonderful market. The S&P 500 was down 25% at given points in the year. And we had some people that were thinking about retiring. And they are on the cusp of getting ready to retire, but they're carrying a mortgage. At the time, the mortgage was roughly $300,000, and they were blessed enough to refinance in 2021 at a rate that was about 2.5%. And so that's a good interest rate, especially in 2024 when interest rates are somewhere between 6 and 8%. So the carry cost of that debt is very, very low, especially on a mortgage. Um, so the question was, hey, we're getting ready to retire. We've been listening to Dave Ramsey, and we're thinking about paying off our mortgage so that we can retire. Well, for them, we had to take a step back and say, okay, well, how are we going to pay this mortgage off? Where's this money going to come from? Do you have cash in a savings account? Do you have other dollars maybe in a brokerage investment account? And so when you're making that decision, it's not just as easy as we're just going to write a check and pay it off. In this case, they were going to have to pull funds from their retirement account, their tax deferred IRA. And so if you take a step back and say, okay, I need to pay this $300,000 mortgage off, but I've got to go to my IRA bucket of money to pay this mortgage off. What do we have to consider? Taxes. So, in order for them to be able to pay that mortgage off based on their marginal brackets, that would have put them in the 30 some percent federal tax bracket. So to pay a $300,000 mortgage off, they're going to have about $120,000 to $150,000 tax bill to get that done. Grant, in your years of doing that, does that make sense to take $450,000 out of an account to pay a $300,000 mortgage off when your interest rate's at 2.5%?
So, Aaron, great question. When looking at it and evaluating it from that perspective, that is what we call a bad deal, right? Because your the taxes you've paid now is far worse than the debt. be an
Hmm.
expense. So Aaron is right on par, folks. It as much as this is a math equation, as it is, right? Aaron gave you a phenomenal outlook at what the math can be against you if you're not paying attention. It is also an emotional decision. And so
Yeah,
what Aaron did really well is with his family, that I don't think he's speaking of, is they understood that there was an emotional tie to this, but the emotional tie was not as strong as the math. And
right.
so for some families, however, though, Aaron, and we get this, sometimes they're so emotionally tied to being debt free that they don't care what it costs,
Sure.
right? And it's our responsibility to help our family see the math and digest the psychology. And so luckily this family from our perspective, Aaron, they decided, hey, we're not going to do this because yes, that could be a very bad decision. But really when it comes down to answering the question, you have to look at it from two perspectives. What's the math say? And then what's the psychology say?
Yeah.
And so for my wife and I as an example, if I've got low interest rate debt, which we do, I am in no hurry to pay that off, right?
Yep.
Because the math over time, because of the amount of time I have left to let my money work for me, right? I know I can get a higher ROI, rate of return, or rate of interest increase over my life than I can paying off the debt. And so my wife's the exact opposite, right? She wants to have no debt. She wants to be debt free. And so we manage that line together on and making sure that our highest interest rate debts are paid and that we carry low interest rate debt on everything else. So
Yeah.
a very good question. It's not easy because, as Aaron stated in the very beginning, it is about you as an individual. What does the math psychology say to you? And if there's something you want us to help you evaluate, please give us a call. 800-928-4001. Getting out of debt is super important, especially if you're carrying student loans, etc. This is a very big topic for those of us in the millennial and zennial generation. So give us a call if you want us to help you evaluate that. One of our talented team members will assist. And if you have questions about your debt, please shoot us an email. Talk to feg@yourlifeafterwork.com. We'd be more than happy to answer those questions. So thank you for being here with us today. It's always a pleasure doing these. Aaron and I love doing them. Give us feedback along the way at yourlifeafterwork.com if you want to hear other topics as well. But thanks for being here and have a great day.
Hi, I'm Sam Neff, certified financial planner with the Financial Enhancement Group. If you're interested where you stand personally, please click the link below and you can create a profile, and a member of our team will reach out to talk about where you stand within the 5 critical elements on your financial journey. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to speaking to you soon.